Hey, it's Alan with Wicked Pecker Off-Road, and today we're going to do an installation video for the Canam X3 heater. So it's right over here. Let's go over and check it out. So this is the X3 Wicked Pecker Off-Road, and we have modified our heater kit from the Honda Talon to the X3. It's quite a bit different, but the same principle. It still pulls air through the radiator instead of a separate heater core, and through a marine grade blower motor and into the cab via some 360-degree rotating ducts. The difference in this one is it also has defroster vents, which the Talon doesn't really have, but the defroster vents on this work really well, and the X3 runs a little hotter than the Honda Talon does, so it puts out a lot of heat. So let's get busy with it. First thing you're going to do in your kit is you're going to pull out the blower motor and the bracket for the blower motor, and you're going to extend the wires, because once you get it in there it's really hard to extend it. So add enough wire to the blower motor to extend it back to wherever your switch is and to your accessory posts on the passenger side in the center. So you want to add that wire on it before you put this in there. Makes it much easier. And at the bare minimum, you want to remove this section of hood. Just pop it off. It is easier if you remove the entire front end, and there's plenty of videos out there that remove the front end. It's about 10 bolts or so. Take it off as one piece, but you can do it just fine without it. So once you extend the wires, you're going to want to bolt the blower motor to this bracket, supplied stainless steel hardware. So you put the bolts in there just like this, and then you're going to feed this up through the fender well. Come in here a little closer. You're going to feed it up through the fender well, and behind here there's already one installed in this, so I can't put it all the way in. But go right behind the spring. You're going to pull these two bolts right here in the top of the fan shroud support plastic here. 2 bolts. This machine has a CT Raceworks shock tower brace and bomb-proof front end kit. This kit works fine with that. It works fine with the factory configuration. We haven't tested anything else yet to fit, but CT Raceworks is very popular and it fits fine with that. So you're going to bring the bracket up in. This is the top of the bracket, and it's going to sandwich right in between. You can pry that open just a little bit. It's plastic. It comes open really easy. And you slip the bracket inside here between the two and reinstall these 2 bolts through the bracket. Now the bracket is slotted, so you can slide it up and down, and you can slide the blower motor front to back once it's installed. So you put that in there, and you want to adjust it, slide back and forth, up and down, to where the front of this blower motor fits right up against the plastic for the fan housing. Get as close as you can up there. Tighten these bolts down, tighten the 2 bolts down here. Then you have the blower motor and bracket installed. Next, you're going to get the large 2-inch inner diameter, it's about 2.5 inches outer diameter hose, 18 inches long. And so there's a rubber grommet on the firewall that all your wiring comes through. You're going to want to cut the zip tie off of that. And this works a lot better with 2 people. It can be done with 1, but it is much easier with 2. So you take this out, take this out, so you just have the hose. Then you're going to have someone inside push the hose from the back, and someone else up here to pull it through the rubber boot. I took and sliced that rubber boot with a razor blade about 1 inch, 1.5 inches up, just to make it easier to go through. It still collapses down, and then you reinstall the zip tie afterward. But you're going to push that through. Once it comes through there, you're gonna take one of these and you're gonna stick it in this hose, twist to the right clockwise. Because of the spiral in this hose, you cannot turn it to the left. It tightens up the hose. So spin it to the right going in. The best thing to use if you're having a problem is Windex, I found. You spray a little bit of Windex on the inside of the hose or on the adapter, and then it slips right in. Really easy. The Windex evaporates very quickly and doesn't leave a lot of residue behind, so, and you can adjust it, pull it in and out for a few minutes. So you're gonna put that on the front, then you're gonna slip that adapter onto the back of the blower motor that's already mounted in there, and it's a nice tight fit, no hose clamps needed anywhere in the system. So you're gonna push that on there, it comes up to a stop in the motor, so it's a secure fit. That's gonna sit slightly off center because the center of the radiator is offset to the driver's side slightly, but you can adjust that. The hose will sit just a little bit over like that. So once it goes through the firewall, you're gonna see in a video clip I'll insert here how the hose is gonna lay inside in the console. So this is how the 2-inch hose will run in the driver's footwell. You can see up there where it comes to the boot and towards the back where it's running underneath the edge of the fuel tank and over to the right of the throttle pedal. And then we'll go back from there with the rest of the hoses. Once you have the hose inside of the console, you're gonna insert the other adapter. It's the exact same adapter as in the front, but you're gonna put it in the back of the hose. You may have to trim this hose off 2 to 3 inches, but you're gonna have to install, and we give you a little bit extra hose to work with. So you're gonna install this, again, twisting to the right, put a little bit of Windex on there if you need to. Nice tight fit, insert it all the way. So that is gonna sit with the blower motor attached behind the radiator, and the hose goes through the boot and the firewall about here. This is gonna curve down, follow the fuel tank down, and it's gonna sit in there something like that. So once you have that installed, you're going to go to your other parts in the kit, and you're gonna have this adapter. The hoses come off like that, and you're going to install it in this configuration. Again, twisting to the right. It's fairly easy when you have them out because you can twist. Get it all set up to look just like this. You have the hoses curving up. The 45-degree adapter is on this end. It's going to sit up this way. So put them on there. You can twist them all the way around, get it lined up, then you're gonna have it in that configuration right there. So you're gonna go to your center dash plate that you remove. It has 3 bolts in there, screws. Pull that out, and then I'll show you in this next clip how to drill the holes for the inside vents. So I went 4 inches down from the top of this center console plate to the vents, and then just kind of centered the vents up so there's even space between the edges, the center, and the edge again. You see, this is the bottom of the plate with this screw hole in the back, and there is the vents pretty much spaced out. Again, these vents will rotate all around 360 degrees and then open, close to whatever direction you'd like them. So once you have the center vents mounted into the center console, don't install that yet, but you're going to put this under there in the center console, and you're going to slide this right inside of this adapter. Again, it's a really tight fit. and there's no need for a hose clamp. It's all tight. So the whole setup, no hose clamps needed. So now you have this mounted to the radiator, you have the hose going through the firewall boot, you have this mounted in there, and you have the adapters here for the center vent plate. Now you take your center vent plate that has the vents already mounted in it, and as you push that center vent plate up in there, you just reach one hand in and you line up the center vents on that plate with these adapters, and then you're going to push them all the way in. These are really snug, but you grab underneath the dash and you push these vents in nice and snug. So then you can mount your center vent plate in there with the 3 screws. Now I chose to use a push button switch that you'll see in the other clip is right in the center above the vents. It makes it really easy just to reach up under there and push that button. It's out of the way and there's plenty of room for it. But there's so many different kinds of switches and panels that people use in these. We don't include a switch for that. But it is a nice convenient place to put the switch right above the heater vents. Once you have positioned the adapter inside, put it on the other adapter on the 2-inch hose. In there, that'll come up. The small tubes for your defroster, those will come right up there. Your plug for your switch, and the 2 45-degree hose adapters. Now we can install the bulkhead inside the machine with the vents in it. So once you have the center plate mounted back with the vents in it, then you're going to come over here and pull off both dash panels on the driver's side and the passenger side. Passenger side here we already have removed. You're going to take your hose, smaller hose, it's a 1-inch inside diameter hose, and you're going to run it down through, like we have this one here, right behind the gas tank in this little spot underneath the bar and behind the glove box, and you're going to push that down through, work its way down, and it's going to connect right here down underneath the dash to the side of the adapter. So that hose will be in place. Then you'll do the same thing with the driver's side. The driver's side, there's a computer mounted right here. So it's a little harder, but there's only 5 or 6 bolts and a couple push pins. Put the steering wheel, tilt it all the way down. You can pop this panel up enough to get in there to run the hose. I have mine routed where it comes out towards the door, it goes underneath the steering column, and then works its way back down and connects to the other side of the adapter. Then you can zip tie it in wherever to keep the hose secure. Again, these, if you spray a little Windex on there, they slip right on. You can't spin it to the left, so counterclockwise is a no-go. You have to spin them clockwise or put a little Windex on there. So now you have both hoses connected there, and you have your defrost hoses routed through the dash. They're a little long, probably about 4 to 6 inches long. So a trick that you do for the dash panel is you take the vent, unscrew the center vent piece, then tape up the bottom of the vent underneath before you drill it. Tape it up underneath and position it. You can see how I have, this is how it goes in, the passenger side here. So you tape it up, and then you make sure, reinstall it, and make sure that that vent will fit into the spot. Make sure there's plenty of clearance, nothing's hitting, and fully install, well, you don't have to bolt it in, but get it down in there where it goes to make sure you have clearance. So once you have that marked out, and you have that dash panel, the passenger side's a little more forgiving than the driver's side for position. You can go anywhere in this general area. You have a big support bracket that runs up inside of this hump that goes over the fuel tank. You can't put a vent in that area, but you can put it anywhere in here. So mark it out, tape it on the back, draw it out with tape or a marker. Then you can pull the vent off and start a pilot hole from the back with a 2 3/8 hole saw. You can use a 2 1/4 inch hole saw if need be, because 2 3/8 is a little harder to find, but 2 3/8, you pop a pilot hole in from the back, then flip the dash over, and it's really thin plastic, so it doesn't take much, but just be really careful, and you drill your hole through. Clean up a little bit of shards of plastic, then you can take your vent, put it in from the back, positions that way, take your tape off. If you use a 2 1/4 inch hole saw, test fit your vent and make sure that it goes through the hole. It may be a little tight. You could take a round file and go through, but it's slightly loose with a 2 3/8, so you'd probably be fine with a 2 1/4. So you'll take your vent, point this in the direction of your hose, and screw the vent in from the top. Once you have the vent put in there, screwed together, see how it fits on the top. Now these vents do open, close, rotate 360 degrees. So you can position them however you like. When you screw them together, it doesn't matter which way it goes because they still rotate. So you have your dash panel there, pointed at where the hose is coming out. So then you install your dash panel. When you get it in position, you just work that hose on from underneath. A little bit of Windex helps every time. Spray some Windex on there. And work that 1 inch hose onto the fitting. There we go. So now you can reinstall this panel. Zip tie up the hose wherever you need to, and you have the passenger side installed. Repeat the process on the driver's side. Again, on the driver's side, it's a little tighter, so you want to spend some time with the tape, taping that duct up from the bottom and making sure you have clearance before you drill the hole. Once you drill the hole through, you have a hole. So it's measure 3 times, cut once, or drill once. On this, you can see, if you come around the side over here, you can see where I have the vent positioned in the dash there. It's a very tight fit between this. The vent will come right to this lip and right to the bottom of that lip, as close this way as you can. There's a computer right here, and there's other electrical right underneath here, so you only have one spot that you can put this. It'll end up pointing down this way, towards the door. The vent will, when it's installed, will be about like that. So then you'll cut the excess hose off, and up from underneath you can grab the hose, spray a little Windex on there, slip the hose on, install the passenger side panel back down there. So now you have your driver's side vent on there. You have your passenger side vent on there. You've reinstalled your dash panels. So now all there is left to do is run your wire back, connect it to your switch through a 7.5 or 10 amp fuse, and you have a nice heater. So now once you're all wired up and you have the center console back in there, all you have now is to reach down. If you installed your switch here, I have a push button, and you have really good airflow coming out of these. If you want more flow for the defrost, you close off the center vents, and it pumps all the air out of the defrost. If you're not needing as much for the defrost and you want more heat coming out from underneath, you can shut off the defroster vents and push all the heat out down here, whichever you choose. So like I said, this machine gets hotter than the Talon does. In the engine, it runs hotter. So there's more heat available to come through the heater. Up in the mountains in Tennessee, I was reading 165, 170 coming out of the center vents. And when I closed them off to push up through the defroster vents, once the defroster hoses get up to temperature and the whole system warms up, the same air was coming out of there. So it idle in the shop here, we were seeing 150, 160 degrees coming out of the vents. The more you drive it, the more it's going to heat up. So that wraps it up for our Canam X3 heater kit install video. Go to wickedpeckeroffroad.com and you can see all our other products, our t-shirts, hats, light bar for the Canam X3 with the amber and the white lights, extremely bright. Has 10 lights across there. We can wire them up however you like. If you want all whites, all ambers, if you want 2 on each side amber, 6 across the middle white like we have it, we wire up the amber and the whites separately, so you can switch them on. The amber isn't as intrusive on other riders, so in their rearview mirror or oncoming traffic, but it makes the images on the trail extremely sharp. So any branches you see coming, any obstacles, they're sharpened up just like a pair of shooting glasses. The white is extremely bright when you're on the wide open areas and you really want the light to get out there where you can see when you're traveling fast. The whites help out with that. So we have other products on there, our center caps for the System 3 bead locks for the Can-Am. They're less than half the height of the stock factory center caps for the System 3 bead locks. And if anybody runs those, you know the center caps don't last very long on the trail.